What's up, Falcon fans? Anthony Romo here with the head ball coach of the Fitch Falcons, TJ Parker, here at Sam's Wedge Inn before their Week 12 matchup against the Akron St. Vincent St. Mary Fighting Irish. We'd like to thank Sam's Wedge Inn for helping promote Fitch football all season long. Coach, it was a high-scoring affair last week against Mayfield. You guys came out on top 56-28 behind, it seems like we talk about this every week, a historic performance from a Fitch running back. Jamel James over 300 yards on the ground, 6 total touchdowns, I believe.
Yes.
Just talk a little bit about what kind of groove he was in against Mayfield.
Yeah, since returning from his injury, I think Jamel's been on a mission. And I mean, when you talk about games and just special moments, I mean, 6 touchdowns in one game is a school record, and then him breaking DJ's record over 300 yards again is very special. But I think if you ask Jamel and DJ and those guys, when two guys do it, I mean, those two guys are pretty special. But it's the guys up front who are really working their butts off to open up those holes and allow these guys to get on the second level and make people miss and then finish these long runs. When you have a game like that, you got to have some long runs. And I think Jamel put some explosive plays together and just finished. I was really pleased with the way our guys played up front, battled them. We thought they were going to come after us, load the box, stop the run. And to be able to put on that performance, that was pretty special.
Yeah, and you got to hope as a head coach when your two running backs are setting records each week that it might add a little bit of competition between the two to kind of one-up each other each week. But that second quarter is something that stuck out to me. Mayfield tied it at 14 in the second quarter, and then going into the break, I believe it was 42-14, you guys. And I wasn't able to be there, but I watched a lot of the game, a lot of big plays from your offense. You guys were able to really spark some momentum with a lot of big plays, whether it was Jamel, whether it was Cam Smith, doing it with his legs, doing it with his arm. How much do big plays on your home field really help this offense out to kind of build a spark plug?
I mean, right now it's honestly what we're predicated on. We've been able to put together some drives offensively, but just with the athletes that we have and the players that we have and the way our offense has been running, our offense is about getting these guys the ball in space and in one-on-one situations. And more often than not, we feel like our guys can win. And so far they've been doing a really good job of that. And that's one thing that I think we try to do and play complementary football with our offense, with our defense, and with our special teams. It's when we feel like we can score on a team, it allows our defense to get more aggressive. It allows special teams to be more aggressive, and us to take some chances that we wouldn't normally take. But yeah, explosives are a huge part and something that we pride ourselves on. It's our number one key to victory every week that we go over on Sundays.
And I don't mean to bounce around at all, but this is something that I just remember when you were talking about Jamel. It is remarkable that you guys this season have had 2 1,000 yards rushers in Jamel and DJ. And to think that I believe both of them have missed some playing time as well throughout the season. So they have made up for some missed time in a very big way. You guys have to be blessed with the backfield that you have.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, like I've mentioned, those two are very special. But I mean, when the crazy thing is in our school history, that's happened one other time, and it was with Antoine Harris and Darren Hall. But
No.
Antoine was the quarterback then.
Wow.
So when you look at it, these two guys are running backs and getting, the running back carries. Antoine and Darren were sharing them from quarterback to running back. We just broke down the stats last week, and their carries are like one off.
I know, and their yards per carry are the same. I saw that.
The exact same, and then their yardage is
like 9 yards different or 7 yards
different. But if you look
different.
at their total yards gained, it's like within 1 yard of each other. It's just
crazy.
And then when you're talking about like games missed, they've both had those 125, 150 games in the same game. So that's happened, and then it's the kids in their head. Well, if I got all the carries, I could, and then I think both of them have saw what it's like to get all those carries, and it's tough. It's tough to carry the ball 30-plus times versus teams that we're going up against. And that's when I really think that those guys lean on each other and believe in each other. That's the most important part. They believe in each other, that it makes their job easier. If you didn't believe in the person that has taken your spot, you consistently want to do it because you feel like you have to do it. These guys believe in each other, and when one of the others running, they know they both can get the job done. And I think that's what's really helped them, the belief in each other and the belief in our offense and the belief in now our offensive line and to get the job done.
Yeah, and I think that to be able to have 2,000-yard rushers, Jamel and DJ, that's a very pristine conversation there. And with guys like Antoine Harris and Darren Hall, because those are two of the best to come through Fitch. Harris one played at Lake Erie, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
And then Darren Hall is one of the best running backs statistically ever at the University of Pittsburgh. We could spend this whole interview, I could sit down here for 2 hours with you and talk about the running backs.
Yes.
But to switch it over a little bit, Cam Smith has done a good job stepping in at that quarterback role. He's really done, I would think, what you expect. He delivers a dual threat capability from the backfield. We saw him run the ball well last week. We saw him throw the ball. Talk about an athlete. I mean, he is. Seems like you can put him anywhere on the field and he'll excel.
I think he's played everywhere on the field for us in
Makes
the past
sense.
3 years. But when Cam was younger, most of the time he's a baseball player. And freshman year, they had a quarterback, and then he got hurt, and then Cam just stepped in and just had an exceptional year. So we always knew that Cam had the capabilities to do that. But his skill set is so unique. He can do a lot of different things. And when you have the ability that you're going to Iowa State to play football, you should be able to do things like that. And Cam just stepped in, and like I mentioned last week, it's just the confidence that he oozes in terms of it wasn't like we were putting in a backup quarterback. We were putting in a kid who it's like, yeah, I got this. It's going to look different. I'm going to do it a little bit different, but it's going to be my way, and we're going to be all right, guys. And we didn't miss a beat. Deshaun's a great player, and he had an unbelievable season. But the team, it was like, hey, let's just keep going and keep rolling and moving forward. And I think that's where weekly he's just grown into actually being a quarterback. That's the one thing that we're trying to speed up with him is becoming a quarterback.
And then let's shift over to the defensive side of the ball. Two guys that we're going to talk to tonight, Brian Robinson, Donovan Bell-Sullivan. Robinson, of course, one of the best defensive players in the Valley.
My daughter's just, you got to scoot over here. We're doing an interview, honey.
It's all good. It's all good.
She's a big Fitch fan, too.
I bet.
I
You better
throw
be.
you off, man.
You better be. Brian, you look at the stats. I mean, we don't want to look at stats too much, but some that I like to kind of put into play. I mean, he's leading the team in almost every defensive category, but something that really stuck out to me about Donovan Bell-Sullivan was you can kind of use the term game wrecker a little bit loosely, but when that guy's in a groove, he can be a game wrecker. Almost half of his tackles on the season have been in the backfield for a loss.
Yep.
And we were talking a little bit before this. Donovan Bell-Sullivan, that's a guy that you really look to make an impact on the defensive side of the ball.
I mean, both sides of the ball. Obviously, Brian's special, and Brian frees up a lot of things for other people. When you're getting the scouting report, your focus becomes on him, and then other people, he allows other people to make plays. But with Donovan, it was one of those things where, hey, we want you to focus on tight end, and honestly, he's an athletic kid. Plays baseball in the offseason, played basketball when he was younger. So those guys want to catch the ball, they want to run, and then Donovan has built himself into literally our offensive line. They call themselves the chain gang, and he feels like he's one of them. So he's built himself into that 6 offensive linemen for us. And when you talk about a wrecker, I mean, the kid throws his body out there. He's a big body. He's putting it in front of people. He's all over linebackers. And then as the season progressed, we had some injuries, and it's like, hey, okay, now we need you on defense. And then he's out there making plays, and now he's a two-way guy for us. Just a very physical kid, and I think he's just starting to understand like how special of a player he could be. And we're looking forward to him to continue this and continue this on in the playoffs, and then have it build into the offseason. And we expect a really big, continuation of what he's done this year and onto his senior year. Those two guys at defensive end are pretty special.
So now looking forward to this week's matchup. Thankfully, you guys get another home game at Greenwood Falcon Stadium. Being in that top 4, you were given the opportunity that, hey, if we win week 1, we're going to get another home game. Welcoming a very formidable foe, the Akron St. Vincent St. Mary Fighting Irish. 2 losses on the season for them, I believe. Back in week 1, they lost to a Glenville team that, I'll be honest, I think they could compete in any division in the state of Ohio. They have a lot of athletes on that team this year. Then they lost to Hoban in their Akron version of the Holy War. Both these teams this season have played some common opponents. You guys have both played Ursuline and Harding. When you're playing against a team in the or any week of the year that has played some of the same teams you have, do you kind of compare the film of those games in particular compared to the ones that you played against those same teams?
Yeah, I mean that's just to get a feel for a team. Like when we're talking about Mayfield last week, it's we see what they do, we see where they have their success, and then you just guess like how physical are they and how fast are they? They look fast against this team, they look physical against this team, but we have nothing to compare it to. We've went up against Ursuline and Warren, and we've seen, Ursuline is very, very good up front, on both sides of the ball. So it's watching how St. D's operated versus Ursuline is something that we took a look at. Like that is going to give us a gauge with how physical of a team they are. And then Ursuline is fast on the perimeter. Warren's fast on the perimeter. What they do versus them in terms of speed on speed. So I think the common opponents help. But then, when we're breaking down film, we're looking for more formations and alignments and how their plays that they like to run against other people and what they see. So to gauge things, yes, we do that. But in our scouting report, it comes down to schematics and what we're trying to do against what they're trying to do versus us.
And then St. V's a week ago, they played John Hay in the first round, and they wasted no time jumping out. They put up 50 points in the first half. So both teams coming in this week's matchup, coming off 50-plus point performances a week ago, could be in for a high-scoring matchup, or I think you can say that whichever defense kind of steps up more has a great chance of winning this game. What has the Falcon defense been kind of doing in practice this week, or what are some of the guys that you've been looking at on their offensive side of the ball?
Well, they have two really special running backs. I would compare more to like a Thunder and Lightning. And then they have some athletes out on the outside. We've been talking as a team. I think this game's going to come down to three things. When you look in the stat book or you look, number one, it's going to be rushing yards. I think both teams want to come and rush the football, and I think both teams have to stop the other team's run. So I think rushing yards will be a good tell. I think turnovers are going to be a good tell. And I think penalties are going to be a good tell. I think those three things are going to tell you right away who wins this football game from that area. So when you ask, like in practice and what are you doing, our number one goal this week is to stop the run. We have to stop the run. Again, two good backs, a physical offensive line, a team that wants to run first. And that's when you will go back to the John Hay, they were breaking big explosive runs. On our end, they're a stingy defense, a very, very stingy defense, fast and physical. We got to find ways to run the ball. That's what we have to do. So we've been trying to simulate that in practice and what we feel like we're going to get and how we feel like we can get numbers advantages either on the outside or with some of our formations. But I think those three things will be the key to a victory this week.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that this matchup is kind of one that everyone in the Valley is talking about because Fitch, arguably our biggest school remaining against a team in St. V that, let's be honest, everyone in the state of Ohio knows that school because that's where LeBron went and all that. A reason that I'm really excited to see it is I know the size and physicality that you guys have, and I've been able to cover St. V's once this year when they played Ursuline. I got to call the second half of that game, and what impressed me about them was not necessarily their defensive line, but the guys in their secondary were huge, like height-wise. They have some really big guys. I know you have some big guys on the outside, so that could put forth some really good jump balls, possibly some really good track races, maybe down the sidelines. I think it's going to be a great game with both teams this week. I hope you guys come out on top. Falcon fans, if you're unable to make it out to Greenwood Falcon Stadium this Friday night, the game will be played here at Sam's Wedge Inn. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck this week.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.